Hi, I'm Julia King from Conscious Divas, and I'm here tonight with Kim Anami, who's a life, sex and relationship coach. And we've just spent a fabulous evening together in one of your salons called The Art of Pleasuring a Man, and we had a very enjoyable evening, and I certainly learned a lot, and I really appreciate the advice that you gave to us tonight. And so what I wanted just to bring up with you is how important is a good sex life for a woman who really is her priority is her inner connection to herself.
I think it's phenomenally important. I think that our sexual energy is our creative life force energy, and that if we're suppressing it, we're really suppressing a huge part of ourselves. And that when we bring out and enliven our sexual energy, both in relationship to ourselves and in a relationship with a partner, it enlivens our entire lives. Right? So that's a creative life flow energy that we have, right? That's the essence of who we are. And so I think as a woman, to feminine, like in our feminine way, express those qualities of being open, being able to surrender, being able to flow with life, being open to pleasure, being open to life, letting life penetrate us, if you will. That's the analogy that I like to use, that all comes in our sexual connection, and that our sexual connection is a microcosm for our life. So our sexual relationship can be a place in an arena where we work things out. We can take out our tensions, we can learn to explore and express all these different parts of ourselves. And then we bring that out, the benefit of that, into our daily relationships. We become a more whole person, we explore parts of ourselves that we might be shy about, and then in a safe container, we can let all of those things come out. So I think it's very, very important.
And in the last few, I mean, really up until now, in the inner growth world, sexuality and the talk about sexuality hasn't really been at the forefront. So why do you think it's becoming much more available now, much more talked about, and how do you think it's going to really help people with their own inner growth?
Well, it's interesting because I've noticed the same thing. You know, there's books about spirituality, there's books about love, there's books about relationship, but not that many people really take on sex. And if they do, it's a very distant clinical way, and not necessarily in the self-help realm or the spirituality realm. So I think the shift is perhaps consciousness changing, or people realizing that sexual health is part of our overall health, right? So there's more of a trend towards people with holistic health and eating, alternative healing methods of healing that are getting to the root of the problem and not just putting band-aids on things, right? People are getting more into fitness, health, exercise, and I think sexual health and sexual medicine is all part of that equation. Plus, we've seen the negative effects of when people suppress their sexual energy. Right now in the world, it's huge. You can't ignore what's happening, right, as a result of suppressed sexual energy. So I think that part's waking people up. And then also the positive side of that is that when you have a thriving, healthy sex life, it adds so much to your life. And something that I talked about tonight was that 5,000 years ago in Taoist sexual culture and in the tantric era, people were studying sex as medicine. So in the Taoist times, they looked at acupuncture as a healing modality, herbs as a healing modality, and sex as a healing modality. Different sexual positions were thought to energize and nourish and heal different organs and meridian systems. So that, to me, is all part of the equation of how to balance out your entire life and bring health and harmony to everything that you do.
And one of the things I really got from tonight, which was really key, was that a lot of the times where we're not very open about sex is because we're really playing out a lot of blockages in our own life, and we don't tend to come into the sexual arena with our partner particularly, and able to allow ourselves to do things that maybe actually add to our sex life. Would you agree with that?
So what you're saying is that we can have blockages that we're not conscious of that might interfere with a really open sexual relationship.
Absolutely. And if we looked at those blockages, they might open up even in our sexual relationship, but also in other areas of our life too.
Right. Yeah. So I look at that in a couple of ways. Like, we can have blocks perhaps from traumatic or negative sexual experiences in our past, and if we don't go back and heal those and address them and cleanse them, then we're going to carry them into the space with our current relationship, and those will create blocks, you know, in the space that we have with our partner. And then what else were you talking about in terms of, like say fantasies could
Yes.
be another way to express that. So if you have these latent fantasies that you've always sat on your entire life and you've been afraid to express them, in transpersonal psychology we talk about the unconscious or fantasy desires as being really crucial elements of the psyche that need to be integrated into our lives. So if you have a fantasy that you want to act out with your partner and you share that with that person and that person accepts your desire and they don't have any judgment or shame around it, so you act out that experience, it's a very cathartic experience, very therapeutic, and it starts to integrate pieces of your psyche that could have been separate before that. So yeah, it ends up integrating the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had a fabulous time, and it's very much fun. With a few of us who came tonight, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. And for me, I want to say that it's really allowed me to really start to look at my relationship with my husband, which is very good. And I want to be able to, encourage most women to really feel that their sexual relationship with their partners, whatever that may be, is really important for their own growth and for their own inner connection to themselves, to be able to live a fabulous life and to live a passionate life as well, which is what we all want.
We all want it, and we talked about that earlier, is that we have this culture where there's this huge emphasis and obsession with sex, and yet there's equally at the same time, people are told that they can't really enjoy it, right? And so we have to come to terms with that dichotomy, that polarity in our culture, and then really give ourselves permission to allow the pleasure of sex to be a huge part of our lives. And that when we have a really passionate, amazing, thriving sexual connection with our partner, that energizes every part of our lives. We become better parents, we do better at work, we become better friends. We have so much more to give in the world when we're being sexually nourished. And so that's one of the largest things that I talk about in these salons, is getting people to value that their sexual connection is a huge source of energy. And the better that it is, and the more energy they put into it, it comes back to them tenfold. It completely enriches their lives.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Kim. That was
been a pleasure.
Fantastic, and we look forward to having lots more great articles from you every month, and obviously things for the future. So thank you so much for spending this time, and we would really encourage you, if you really enjoyed this interview, to tweet it out to your friends, 20 girlfriends that you have, and also share it on Facebook. And I look forward to seeing you soon.